Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're having another Tubi Horror Spotlight. We have the director of the new movie that's streaming on Tubi for free right now, Maid Droid. We have the director, Rich Mallery. Rich, how's it going, my friend?
Good, doing well, doing well. Just actually finished editing like another feature film today, so super excited
Nice.
about that. So it feels good to take a breath and talk to you and just relax.
Take a break. So for everyone who hasn't watched it yet, tell us about Maid Droid.
Yeah, so Maid Droid focuses on a man named Harrison who's recovering from a recent breakup. He's not handling it very well, and he friend of his recommends an agency that basically supplies robot maids who will do anything he requests on command. And he is kind of falls in love with the maid droid. She falls in love with him, and as their relationship kind of blossoms, she begins to go through lots of human emotions like jealousy and rage. And when Harrison's ex comes back into the picture, things don't work out so well. Some bad things happen.
And the actress Faith West, who plays Mako, the maid, did an amazing job. Just the emotional distress she goes through previous trauma. I mean, does an amazing job as a maid.
Yeah, she was absolutely wonderful, and this was her I believe this was her first time acting in a film, and I could not believe how well she portrayed the character. Like, you really kind of feel for her, and there were times on set where like I legit like got choked up because sometimes he's not so nice to her, or she's starting to feel some things, and the way she kind of portrayed the humanness of a cold robotic character really kind of blew me away. And it's funny, like originally the movie was going to focus more on the male character. A lot of my movies, I tend to focus on female characters, so I wanted to do something a little different and really focus on his journey. But she was just so awesome that as I was like putting it together and editing, and even when we were on set, I realized the story was her story. And I couldn't look away from her. Yeah, she was amazing to work with and find, and I'm really blessed that she did this movie.
Now, what gave you some inspiration for this movie?
Yeah, so interesting story. Well, I think it's interesting. Hopefully, y'all will too. So Gregory Hatsunaka, who is the executive producer on this, and he's someone I've worked with on, I believe, all of my films. About maybe 8 to 10 years ago, he runs a distribution company, and they were putting out, back when DVDs were a thing, they were putting out these Japanese like pink softcore kind of movies, and the movies weren't very good. They were pretty bad actually, but there were some good concepts in there, and we were always talking about, oh, we should like remake some of these, but like, do them in like a really artistic and just different way, like make these into legit movies. And one of the ones he had was Maid Droid, which we just talked about. We should make a Maid Droid movie. We think that'd be really cool. You put like pretty girl in a maid outfit on the cover, it'll sell, but we could like do something really fun. We didn't really have any ideas, but we just always talked about it. And lots of things happened between now and then, like other projects came about, and I kind of forgot about it. And this year I was trying to shoot this movie Borderline, which is a movie I wanted to do for a long time. And it's different. It's not horror. It's not anything. It's really focuses on, it's a drama about this woman with borderline personality disorder who's also addicted to OxyContin. And I was speaking to Gregory to get him, to kind of like get on board to fund and distribute this movie. And he was like, look, like, I support you. Like, I know you'll make a great film, but it doesn't sound something that's really sellable. Like, it's kind of depressing and dark, really raw movie. And he's like, look, he's like, I'll get you some money for it, but I need you to shoot something that's a little more sexy and commercial at the same time. So shooting 2 movies back to back. And I was like, how about to do a Maid Droid movie finally? And he was like, sure. And there was really no idea there, but like, I kind of had the idea of like, again, this robot made sex kind of doll thing. And, started writing the script, and it kind of started as this kind of, really kind of sexy commercial thing. But as I was kind of writing it and developing it, it ended up becoming something much more personal and what I feel a much more beautiful film that's, I would say, very different than anything that I've seen out there. I would say one of the inspirations behind it, I would say, is Takashi Miike's Audition, which I'm a huge fan of. And
Me too.
And if you watch Maid Droid, you could definitely see some similarities where I'm definitely paying homage to that movie. And that's kind of how that came about. And I still actually never seen the Japanese Maid Droid, and I probably should at some point. But I did hear mine is definitely very different than that. But I haven't seen it. If anyone else has seen it, I'd love to know. Compare the two.
And without giving a lot away, in this movie, the main character, he starts gaining feelings for the maid, but he won't allow his feelings to go but so far, because in his mind he still has this emotional connection to this ex, and the maid also starts gaining feelings for him. So it gives a a lifelike vibe to the maid as well, which he did a great job too.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think he especially comes off as not necessarily likable in the film, because I know for me, and it's funny, I've heard other people who've reviewed the movie and they're like, how could he even think about his ex, make her the Maid Droid is so wonderful and so perfect, and she's so sweet and kind, but look, that's what happens, right? We get hung up on things and obsessed with certain things, and especially if someone kind of broke our heart or damaged us, it is difficult to kind of fully close that door. So again, in the movie, when she comes back into the picture, it kind of triggers some stuff in him, and he's kind of torn and challenged. And I think he also thinks look, long term, can I actually have a realistic relationship with this thing, basically? Even though the thing is very human, right? So I think it's realistic that he would kind of be torn in that way, because I know I think we've all had exes that we get hung up on, and they go away and then they come back, and even if we say no, it still messes us up a bit. So that's kind of when I said this became personal, I drew a lot upon my own things that have happened to me on both sides. I feel like I'm a combination of Harrison and Mako, the maid.
Yeah, because I mean, he has this perfect woman in the maid, literally what any man would want in a woman. I mean, in every possible way.
And look, I mean, you got to suspend a little bit of disbelief in the movie, right? We didn't have a lot of money for special effects and things like that, or to make her seem more robotic. But in this world, she basically is a woman, but she's just learning, right? She doesn't really understand certain things, but she learns fast. So yeah, I mean, to me, she's very, very much human, especially as the movie goes on.
Now, do you see something? Now, AI is being, it's big in the world right now. Do you possibly see that in the future there could be a Maid Droid?
I can't believe we don't have them already.
I know, right?
What's going on? Every now and then I'll see some kind of YouTube video from something going on in Japan, some conference, and I feel like they keep showing us these robots that are very human, but we don't have them. But yeah, and I don't think it's very far off. And it's funny, one of the critiques I got of the movie from a review, and again, I take reviews with a grain of salt, but someone was like, wait, is this present time? There's no future, there's no futuristic gadgets, it's still the same stuff. But again, we literally could be 2 months away from having something like this. I don't think that's out of the question that we're going to have, AI powered robots who can look very human.
And
it could happen this year for all we know, right?
It could. Now, do you think the marriage rate will go down?
I mean, absolutely. It's funny. I saw this. It was a meme or something like that. And it said do you women literally think you can I don't know, it's bully nerds for 100 years and they won't come up with a replacement for you? That's sad, but it is true. Either it's going to be VR or it's going to be AI that's going to unfortunately ruin a lot of relationships. But maybe you could use it to augment it, right? Maybe it's just people will have a threesome every now and then to spice up their marriage. You bring on a Maid Droid, and that's what you need to do that. I'm no marriage counselor.
Yeah, no.
I'm divorced, so I'm the wrong person.
Because I was just watching the movie, I was like, I mean, as a man, I'm like, wow, that'd be nice to have that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the movie kind of is a little bit of a fantasy, right?
Yeah, but
as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, am I that perverted? Is there something wrong with me? But no, I think we all secretly are wanting have at least to experiment with a Maid Droid. I don't.
But
And
do
there's
you
nothing
take her
wrong
out? But I mean, can you bring her around your friends? Can you take her out in public? You know, like
with it.
you
I
can't
mean, at some
do
point, if it
that.
becomes common enough, I guess you
That's
could. I mean,
true.
look,
That's I mean,
Stepford Wives was in the 70s, right? That was when they
yeah.
made that movie, and they had a whole community where the men had robot wives. So we're
So
not the first to think of it.
exactly. So now, will there be a sequel to Maid Droid, or was this going to be a one-off?
It was supposed to be a one-off, but like it's doing really well, and like which I'm pleasantly surprised about. Like I thought people would like the movie. People are going to hate the movie, but I thought people would like the movie. But yeah, it's doing really well, and it's only really available on Tubi right now. So, but we've already, I think, like 1 million people have watched it already, which is pretty cool to me. So yeah, I've already kind of started thinking about what to do about a sequel, and I haven't done a sequel before for one of my own films, so it'll be interesting. But I'm just kind of debating on whether or not like it ends up being Maid Droid 2, or it's another maid, or maybe it's something else like a nurse droid. That was an idea I had. But yeah, there might be a sequel that I might get to really early next year if this keeps doing well, for sure.
And for everyone who hasn't seen it and they're a little whatever, there is a lot of sex in the movie. There's a lot of sex and
there
there's a lot of
definitely is a
nudity.
good amount.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
there's a good amount
lot.
of TNA in it, for sure. I definitely, I packed it definitely with TNA, and but look, at the end of the day, like I tried to make the movie artistic too. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, I wouldn't say it's gratuitous.
No,
It's
no.
there, and if and then I like movies that have sex and nudity too. But it's there, so enjoy it, and but I think it makes sense. For me anyway. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I get where you're coming from because I mean, how can you make a movie about a maid droid for
you have
men
to.
and sex is not a part of it?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and especially trying to think through like when he's fantasizing about his ex, who's played by Kylie Michael, who's a wonderful human being, and is in another one of my movies, and is going to be in the next one I do. Look, when he's fantasizing about her, like that's what you'd remember those things, right? Like part of it is her just kind of emasculating him and just kind of being like, really kind of just degrading and stuff to him. But part of it is like, he's remembering her in her most beautiful form, which would be, her seducing and being naked. So I think it makes sense personally, but.
I agree. I agree. And this movie also brings up an interesting thing about relationships. Us as humans, for some reason, we are. I mean, some of us grow out of it, some of us don't. But we are attracted to people who treat us like shit. Like there's
Often,
something
yeah, and that
about
goes on
that,
both
men
sides.
and
Yeah,
women.
both.
Yeah, we like people
Mm-hmm.
who like treat us like shit, and kindness
Yeah,
is seen as weakness.
yeah, it's very interesting how that works out, right? And it's both, it works for both genders, like you
Mhm.
said. Like there's something about that, and also again thinking about what I think is interesting in this instance is, again, he's remembering and he's obsessing and he's remembering all of these kind of, at first it starts off he's remembering her in a beautiful way, they're loving, they're caring, but as it kind of goes on and he becomes more obsessed, like those parts start to come out, and kind of she almost ends up as kind of like this demon in his ear, like like, you're paying for someone to love you, like what's wrong with you? And it kind of propels him to kind of experience the maid in different ways, that he might not have before. Like he starts off kind of being kind and gentle and just shocked, and then he kind of starts kind of get a little kinky and start to kind of like do some other things that are not so kind. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, the things that we're attracted to, and the things that we'll all kind of accept in a relationship sometimes, just to feel kind of loved.
All right, so Rich, I'm going to shoot to something else. So I
Ooh,
am
okay.
a lover of bad movies, and you were a producer on one of my favorite bad movie series in my eyes, and that's the Samurai Cop series. Tell me a little bit Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, those movies had definitely got a cult following. I love watching them.
Yeah, so Samurai Cop 2 is the movie you're talking about.
Samurai
I
Cop 2. Yep.
co-wrote and produced it, and was on set for the majority of that. What ended up, it's interesting how that kind of happened. And so Gregory Hatanaka, who is the director who I've referenced earlier, we were shooting a different movie in this studio, this really rundown studio in LA, and just a fucking hole in the wall studio. But they were kind to us and things like that. And we were just looking around, like just because we were bored one day, like we're waiting on makeup or something like that. And we found all of these like canisters, like these film canisters from all of these like old movies. And like we were looking through them, and like one of them was the original Samurai Cop. They had like one of the reels for Samurai Cop for some reason. And we like started thinking about it, like, oh, that would be like, really cool, like to do a sequel on that. Like we both like were a big fan of the movie. Like we love those kind of really super bad movies from like the 80s
80s
and stuff.
cheese, yeah.
Yeah, so like he kind of tracked down like who owned the rights, and I believe the person that the director had passed, and it was his brother or son or something like that had the rights, and gave us the green light to go for it. And we started writing the movie. And what was interesting is we thought that Matt Hannon, or Matthew Caritas as he goes by now, I believe that's his real name. Matt Hannon was his stage name. We thought he was dead because there were all these internet articles saying that he passed away. And it was just common knowledge that he was dead. So we started writing this movie where we were going to focus on Mark Frazier, which was his partner. And I forget what else we were going to do, but we were going to have him, and it was going to be Caden Cross, who was an adult actress. She was going to be like his partner. She was supposed to be like Matt Hannon's daughter from the original one and things like that. And as we were kind of developing the movie, like word got out. I think we were doing a Kickstarter or raise money or something like that. Anyway, word got out, and Matt like appeared. Like he made some YouTube videos and was like, "I'm not dead, like I'm alive." And then we reached. And then we
Where'd that
reached out
rumor
to him.
come from? Yeah.
I think someone with the same name died, and like
Okay.
people just, this is so long ago that this happened, and how the internet gets, and he kind of like did like I think he did another movie after Samurai Cop, but he kind of disappeared. And just was done with it. Like he's just like, this isn't for me. Like, maybe because the movie got bad reviews. I don't know what it was, but he kind of disappeared for a while. And anyway, like I think like we ended up like contacting his daughter, or his daughter contacted us or something like that. And we ended up getting lunch and pitched him. We're like, look, we're going to do this Samurai Cop movie. Like, we would love for you to be involved because obviously you're the Samurai Cop. You should be involved. And I think he was really skeptical at first because he's probably like, why the hell are you trying to like make another sequel of this movie? Like why would you ever do that? And I think also too, like he was wary of us like making another bad movie. And like we really didn't like intend to make a movie that was so bad it's good. Like we definitely put things in place. Like we hired a lot of porn stars. Like we got Tommy Wiseau. We got like a lot of things that kind of set us up for failure. But we really went about it. We wanted to make this like art house action movie, and we wanted to have this huge budget, and of course we couldn't get enough money to do that. So like, but yeah, ultimately like the movie came together. We had Bai Ling, and like it was all these like it was a lot of fun. And the shoot was crazy, and we were trying to shoot like a documentary of us making the movie while we were doing it. And I don't know if that will ever come out, but it was like an insane shoot. Like everything that could have went wrong. It was like a fucking shit show. But somehow we got a movie out of it, and it's a movie that I personally really like. And yeah, and I'm cool. People are still kind of discovering it, and I think now, especially I think Tommy Wiseau has a new movie out now. It's a shark movie, and hopefully some
he got a shark movie.
Discover it. Yeah, which I haven't seen yet. I will. I do want to see it. But hopefully new people discover it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And again, the original script, like we went crazy with it. And when we actually got to set and realized we couldn't do half the things we did, we kind of wrote on the fly. And like every day, like no one knew what we were going to shoot. We were just like, what's going on today? And then Gregory would stay up all night, like writing these scenes, and we'd just show up and be like, okay, these are the scenes now. And, it was such a mess, but it was a beautiful mess. And, it's artistic genius that made it what it is. So, but yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying it's definitely a beautiful mess. Like if you haven't seen Samurai Cop and Samurai Cop 2, you definitely got to check them out. I mean, they're
definitely very different movies. They're they both like have that same again cult bad movie thing, but they're very different. But yeah, I highly recommend at least watch the original, or even watch the riff tracks of the original. Like that's really funny. They do a great job of really lampooning that movie.
So what's next for you?
Yeah, so I'm in pre-production now. Actually, so like I've shot 3 movies this year. I'm about to get ready to shoot my 4th, which is I'm still working on a title, but the script is written and we're going to shoot it, I believe, October 20th. The movie focuses on 3 females who are in a dominant submissive triad. They live in this house together. And one day, one of the submissive types, this woman Phoenix, decides to leave and realizes that the vanilla life isn't for her, and she tries to come back and rejoin her family. And the three play some very kinky and dangerous games as they try to test Phoenix's loyalty. It's going to be really sexy, dark, psychological kind of thriller, and I'm going to throw stuff at you've never seen. There's going to be all different types of fetishes in there that you've not seen in a movie yet. So it's going to be, I can't wait to shoot that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be, like, again, nothing you've seen before, and I'm super stoked about that. And then I just finished, literally just finished editing Borderline, which I referenced earlier. That I'm really proud of. That's my real art film, I would say, and that's going to come out probably, I believe, September 24th on Tubi and some other digital platforms. So really look out for Borderline. I can't wait for you all to see that, but not horror. And something different. It's kind of like my Requiem for a Dream type movie. But yeah, look out for that. And then, who knows, next year, a bunch of things I want to do. Definitely want to do another Maid Droid movie and some other ideas.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, I got 2 horror questions for you. It's a horror show, so I'm
all right, let's do them.
2 horror questions.
Yeah.
All right. First question. And then, what is one horror movie, if you could reboot it and put your own slice on it, take it, throw it away, put it back together, which one would it be?
That's a really good question. It's funny. I was like, I wonder if they're going to ask me that, especially as I did like a major reboot. Honestly, I would really want to redo the very first movie I did, Sociopathy. I know that's not a great answer, but like I made that movie and I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I wish I could make it now, like with my knowledge that I have now. There was a movie that I almost remade a few years ago, and I would still love to do it. It's I think it was from the 60s. It's called Touch of Her Flesh, and it's really like an exploitation, like kind of horror, kind of like almost porn movie, but like I wrote a really cool script that I really wanted to do. And it focuses on, again, this guy who is jilted by his lover and kind of goes off and does some revenge. I'd love to do that one. I would love, so my favorite horror movie of all time is the French movie Martyrs. And I think the movie's perfect in every way. I absolutely love it. And they did do an American remake, which is like pretty awful. And I would love to kind of do another remake of that and do justice to it. Just because it's so, I love that movie. I think about that movie all the time.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Final question.
Yeah.
And this is this one might give you some shit. But in the last 3 years, what is the worst horror movie that you saw?
Oh, man.
It could be an indie. It could be a big name. It could be...
Yeah, worst horror movie that I ever saw.
This unwatchable.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably, and this is just off the top of my head, like I didn't really think about it, but I really hated the last Conjuring movie. The third one. I thought that was just awful. And I even tried to watch it a second time, and I just thought, like, I don't know, like even just the writing of it, I'm like, who wrote this? It just, I thought it was just kind of nonsense. And for, again, a pretty big budget movie, like with, I think I'm not a huge fan of the second one, but I get what they were trying to do. The first one I think is great. But like this one, I just thought was garbage. And like, I don't know what they were trying to do with it. I thought that was really bad.
Yeah, it just seems like they're milking the hell out of that franchise with the spinoff, The Nun and Annabelle, and and they got another Conjuring coming out. It's like, it's too much. It's like they're milking.
Yeah. And then look, if they made good movies, like I'd be okay with it. I just, and maybe it's not the worst movie I've seen. I'm sure I've seen some worse ones, but that one just sticks out as like how did you? It's funny, like when I like a lot of the reviews I get for the movies I do, and I get a lot of bad reviews, right? Like critics are pretty brutal, and one of the things I always get dinged on is like, the quality, right? Like this looks low budget, or like. And it's like, well, yeah, it is low budget, right? Like I didn't have $15 million to make this movie. Like it's funny, there was a podcast and they're talking about Maid Droid, and they didn't like the movie, but they spent an hour talking about it, so they must have liked something about it. And one of the things they were like, well, Ex Machina was like so much better, and the robot looked more realistic. And I'm like, yeah, that cost $15 million. Of course it looked better. Like it doesn't mean it's a better movie. It is, I think. I love that movie, but like, it's like you got to think like, and you think of these Conjuring movies, and like again, I don't know what they spent $15-20 million, and like that's what you made. Like I don't know. Like to me, I also hated the last Insidious movie. I thought that did not need to be made.
I didn't even see that one. I
Yeah,
need
it
to
was
see
it was
that.
funny like when I saw that, and like this isn't just me, like it in the theater. I went to see it in the theater, and about halfway through I started noticing like people in the theater like having conversations, like just ignoring the movie and talking. And usually that would piss me off, but I was like, you know what, good, because now I could talk to the person I'm
Yeah,
with and completely ignore this movie. But like it was just boring. It was like, why'd you even make this movie? Like I don't know what the point of it was.
yeah. I mean, that for me, I
To
mean,
make money, I guess. I mean, I get
exactly.
it's a cash grab, but like, but you could do it. Look, if you're gonna spend that kind of money, at least make something. At least have something that seems well written. I just
Yeah,
I didn't really get it. But
because
that's just me. My
because I kind of understand an indie movie being bad, right? I kind of do. You know, at the same time, majority of the time, it's a first-time filmmaker. There's no budget. There's no. It's on the fly. It's quick. Boom, boom, boom. But like when these big studios put millions of dollars in, get well-known actors, they have time for filming, location, and they put out a dud that's
yeah.
unwatchable. It makes you scratch your head.
Yeah, I give indie filmmakers like a pass a lot of like unless it's something that's like they really didn't try, but like look like fucking Maid Droid costs no money, like we shot it in 4 days, like
Yeah.
you struggle, right? I wish I had 20 days and millions of dollars to make it, but I didn't. But yeah, when you see these, they had like again they had the resources and they still couldn't do it, but like you know, look, I mean, you see these Marvel movies, and I think a lot of them are terrible too, and they cost
But they've
hundreds of
gotten
millions of
worse.
dollars. So
They've gotten
yeah,
worse
yeah.
over
So
the
it's like all the
years.
money in the world doesn't make a good movie, which is why I think again, like reviewers like just need to take that into account, right? It's like
Yeah.
we
Like
do the
even
best we can.
like I used to do movie reviews on my channel when I first started, and
Yeah,
I would review Tubi horror movies, and I would do it on a Tubi scale. I wouldn't do it on a big budget scale. I would say on a Tubi scale, 1 out of 5. You know, and because I do put indie movies on a different scale, I give them more slack. I give them more. Well, for indie movie, you gotta use your creativity a little more on what's going on because the budget is not there to show you everything. So you definitely have to use your creativity as a watcher.
yeah, absolutely. Like again, if everyone did the best they could, it's like at least they tried. And again, it's like when I years ago, like I used to review movies too. Like I reviewed for like Fangoria and stuff like that. And maybe before I was making films, I was a little harsher than I would be now. But look, it's not easy to make a movie, and it's not easy to make a big budget movie either. Like they have their own
Mhm.
struggles where they're dealing with producer like heads of Warner Brothers who has their own take on what it's got to be or whatever. But I don't know. At least, but the thing I will say, like like I'm really happy to be in the indie space and to not have to deal with a lot of oversight right now. Like the movies I've been making like have been my full creative freedom for better or worse. And I kind of only want to do things that are really personal to me that I really believe in. And it's funny when you talk about like doing remakes and stuff like that. It's like unless something was really like special to me or like I really had this crazy cool idea, like I wouldn't want to do it just because like I don't know that I need to have a passion for it and like really, really feel like something in my heart about what I'm doing. And in this indie space, I've been blessed to be able to kind of do that. And like the next movie I'm going to do is like crazy. Like I could never get that made at a studio, but
Yeah.
so I'm glad that I have the freedom without anyone kind of tinkering. Like I just deliver the film when it's done, and then no one
It's
tells me what
done.
to edit and what not to do. And um, if it bombs, it's all on me, right?
And I'm new to the indie community, doing my indie reviews, and I just love the bond that you guys have. Like you guys definitely look out for each other and promote each other, and that's something you don't see in Hollywood, and I
Yeah,
love it.
because we know how hard it is. Like it's tough. It's tough to get these movies to break out. That's why I really appreciate like shows like yours who are like focusing on these movies. Because like, look, we don't have like there's no money for marketing budgets for these movies, and if it is, it's really small. And like,
Hmm.
there's so many different things to choose from. And you go on like again like Tubi, you're at the mercy of an algorithm. Like,
Yeah,
there's no one saying like, oh, I love this movie, I'm gonna put it here. Like, unless it's coming from like a major studio. So like you hope like you find an audience somehow organically, but like it's tough. So like you got to support each other and uh, and just respect that because it's like look, we don't. I'm not doing this for like the money. Like I'm doing it because I love doing it and because I want to tell stories and I enjoy it and it makes me feel good. But like these movies do need to make a profit, so they need to do
they do.
well. And like the only way to do well is if people watch them in a legal way,
Yes.
rather than pirating them. And it breaks my heart when I like Google Maid Droid to see like if there's any review today. And it's like, oh, new pirate site popped up. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can't make the sequel now because like someone's gonna watch it for free and not watch it and watch 4 ads and help me make my money back. But anyway.
But that's why I love the indie community, because I wouldn't even came across your movie if it wasn't for the indie community promoting your movie, because Tubi is you get Tubi, Amazon, so forth. When you go into horror, it's so many different horror movies, and it's hard for indie horror movie to stand out. And
Yeah.
it, and some great ones get missed. Unless
absolutely, like, and I'm like very few people will like continue to scroll, like, and I like my day job, I actually work for Amazon, and I kind of know how it works. And like most people like don't really scroll. Like if you see 10 movies on the screen, like you're gonna pick one of those 10. But I'll go like forever. And it's always funny to me when I'm like 500 movies in, and then I see like even like I'll see like, oh my god, how is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 500 movies down? Like that, but like what is the 499 in front of it? And it's like the odds that your movie is gonna get seen by anybody like randomly scrolling, and then they're gonna pick your movie over these 100 other things that they're looking at. It's like really slim. And again, like, I'm trying to do these movies cheap where we can be profitable and make more, but it's tough. Like I was saying, like we did like 1 million views on Tubi, but that's like no money. That's nothing. Like that doesn't even really cover the budget. So it's like, it's tough, So I appreciate it. I appreciate any support anyone can do. And I'm always willing to help out anyone I can as well and get the word out, because I know how hard it is.
Now, Rich, where can everyone find you, my friend?
Where they find me?
Yes.
Not your address. I mean, so I'm like, I don't do a ton of social media. I mostly will do like Instagram, and you can find me I think it's Rich.Mallery, Mallery, and you can find me there. That's probably the best place to find me.
All right.
And then I'll post like when things are coming up. I'm always posting like screenshots and cool facts and things like that.
Awesome. Well, I would like to have you back on when
Would love to.
When your sex fetish movie comes out.
I will definitely let you know. I will let you know my sex fetish movie. We'll probably, if we shoot October 20th, like I work really fast, and as soon as we wrap, I'm on editing, and it will probably be out actually right before Christmas, and it's definitely the perfect holiday movie to watch with the family. So
is that
counter programming?
I don't know.
You can watch The Grinch, or you can watch my sex.
Let's get some hot chocolate and let's pop this sex movie on.
No, I'm super psyched about that one. I can't wait to start shooting that one. It's gonna be fun.
Well, thank you, my friend, for coming on. I want to appreciate it. Everyone, hop on Tubi right now and check out Maid Droid.
Maid Droid.
Maid Droid. I'm looking at my note.
It's a Maid Drum movie. I'll probably watch that, but no.
That's a sequel, Maid Droid. But
Maid Droid
is the one that you want to watch. And fellas and ladies, if you want to see tons of sex and nudity and a great story, watch it.
Yes, please do. Please do. We need the support. So thank you, everybody. I hope you all enjoy it. It's a fun movie.
Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room, everyone. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.